I think of style, I think of your clothes almost like a second skin. It is also your style, your life. The way that you dress is an expression of who you are.
Welcome to the Be Better broadcast. We are joined today by Atena Crain, who is a personal stylist who is on a mission to help purpose-driven women spread love and change the way through freely loving and expressing who they are when it comes to their personal style. Today, we're talking all about personal style. And while we just mentioned that Atena mainly works with women, this conversation is going to help you whether you are a woman, a man, when it comes to finding your style and really discovering who you are and expressing it outwardly, boosting your confidence and becoming stronger as a human being. Style is very close to my heart. I don't always express it on the broadcast. You see me a lot in long sleeve, Be Better shirts and short sleeve shirts, but I wear a suit for a living. Whenever I'm at corporate events or anything like that, I'm always in a suit because a suit is the best way for me to express myself. So I very much understand the power that style can have in your life. And I'm excited to talk to Atena about how you can find your own style and boost your own confidence in the same way. As always, when you take away even just one piece of information that helps you or takes you to that next level, or maybe we talk about something that makes you smile or educates you, all that we ask is you share this show with just one other person who could use it as well. You are the reason that the Be Better broadcast has grown the way that it has over the past 2 years to over 300 episodes because you are the best part of the Be Better team. So without further ado, let's talk to our guest, Atena. It's great to have you on the show.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You're local, which is really cool. For those listening, Atena is like 40 to 45 minutes away from me. So it would have been really cool to have you in person if we had a Be Better in person setup, which should be coming in the future, which would be really cool. So maybe we'll have to invite you back for that and have you make the short drive up here. But Atena, it's great to have you on. I love this topic of personal style. Somehow over 300 episodes, we haven't had one person talk about personal style, which blows my mind. So for everyone listening, maybe you can give us an idea. How did you come to speak about this topic and build your own business and mission around this topic itself?
Well, so for me, the love for fashion and style goes really, really far back. So I'm originally from Iran, and in Iran, the culture is very different. It's an Islamic country, so people dress very, very differently. And then I moved from Iran to Ukraine when I was about 9 years old. And so once I moved, it was a culture shock for me. It was like I quickly became aware of the fact that people dress differently in different cultures. And then from there, I moved to the United States, and it wasn't as big of a shift, like because in Iran, women are required to cover themselves up and like wear like a scarf. And then, but it was still different. And like the way that people dress here was completely different than from in Ukraine. And as a kid, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be like the other kids. So for me, it was like, oh, okay. So like the way that you dress really can change how people see you. So I became aware of that. Then it was about like as I grew up, it was mostly about fitting in until I figured out that it can also help you stand out, and that's also a good thing. So that was a shift in mindset as I grew up and I got older, but it was something that I was very, very passionate about because I could see the fact that the way that people look at you with the way that you dress is so different. And then I became aware of the fact that you can actually be a stylist, like that is a job. And so I went through schooling for it. I like got mentorship for it, and I learned how to actually do it and translate it to something that people can use. And so that then became its own passion.
That's amazing. What a story. So you went from Iran to Ukraine, and from there you saw a drastic change when it comes to fashion. And then you went from Ukraine to California, which you'd have to tell me that's probably an even bigger jump in fashion moving from there to California. So do you remember the moment where you realized if I change the way that I style myself, if I change the way that I dress, it will help me to fit in and stand out? Do you remember the moment that maybe you radically changed your wardrobe or your style and you went out there and you were immediately treated differently? Do you remember that moment? And what did you wear differently? What did you do differently? How did it make you feel? Can you paint that picture? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it was more over time, but there was one moment when I moved from Iran to Ukraine because I was about 9, and that's when girls start wearing the headscarf in Iran. That's when you're like adult enough to like be required to wear it. Now some people like wait a little bit longer, but I was actually excited that I got to wear because I was like, oh, I'm an adult now. Like I'm this like like this is like an adult thing to do. And then once I moved to Ukraine, it was like, whoa, I look different. Like I feel different. I feel like I'm noticeably different. And then so it was something where I started to shift. Like I was like, okay, like it was something that I was so excited about. Now I'm like, maybe it's not a good idea. I don't know. Like it was just like so many things going through my head as a child because I was like, I don't want to be different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I this is the thing. I've never interacted with someone who looked really, really, really good and they lacked in confidence. Whenever I work with someone and they're lacking in confidence, it's either their hair isn't done, their clothes are too loose, maybe their clothes are too tight. Like it's always something to do with the outward expression that then affects the inward. So when it comes to style, how does it affect our self-expression and our self-confidence? What is it about style that helps us to feel better? How would you explain that?
So I think of style, I think of your clothes almost like a second skin. Like it's a way that we express ourselves, it's a way that we show the world who we are. And when someone looks at you, your clothes, the way that you present yourself is telling a story to them. Whether you like it or not, it is. Like people see you before they ever hear you speak. And actually there's a lot of studies that show that people pretty much start judging you within the first few seconds of seeing you. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter how smart you are, how many accomplishments you've had. So that's a part of it that like the outside world, and then from the inside, yeah, like it's about like it's every culture, right, has a different way of dressing because that's the way that they are distinguishing themselves. That's the way that they're expressing themselves, whether it's because it's something that is symbolic, represents something, or if it's something that is practical. Every culture has a different way of dressing and saying this is who we are. And so for humans, this is just a natural thing. The way that you dress, what you put on, has a really huge effect on the way that you feel about yourself. And then again, there are other studies that show, like for example, people that there was a study done where people wore lab coats, and when they wore lab coats, because they associated that with being a doctor and being detail oriented, they were they're paying attention to details a lot more than when they were wearing normal clothing. So what you wear and what you associated with, that really affects how you're going to go about your day as well.
Wow. It's so fascinating how just changing one piece of our clothing can give us that air or presence of authority when not having that piece of clothing can derail the entire thing. Like I think back to I worked with a company specifically who used to require men to wear a full suit when they were helping customers, and they became more relaxed over time. They stopped requiring the tie. They started saying you don't have to wear the suit jacket anymore, just the suit pants and a dress shirt. And what I observed, they didn't actually do a study of this, but from working with that company for over a decade, what I observed was the people who wore the suit coat and the tie, even though it wasn't required, always made more money than the people who wore a dress shirt and suit pants. They were treated differently. when customers walked in, they assumed that the person with the dress coat was the manager. They assumed that the person with the tie was the manager. Sometimes that person had only been working with the company for 2 months, and they assumed that that person was at the top of the food chain. So it's so fascinating, the difference that what we wear can convey to other people. And you talk about first impression there, and that's so important. And I'd like to ask everyone listening, when you go out into public, what do you believe the first impression that you're giving other people is? And I challenge you to be very objective here. What do you think they're judging you based on? Your economic status or your personality or anything? Desirability is another great question. Like you said, we are constantly being judged based on what we look like. We are being judged based on our cover. It's just the reality. It's very airy fairy to say people aren't judging based on how you look. People are judging based on how you look for everything, for a partner, for a job interview, for anything. You're being judged on how you look. So when it comes to that, and I actually just looked up what are people physically judging, and I'd recommend people go look it up. They actually create an impression of you within the first quarter second of seeing you. It happens instantly. So this can sound intimidating, Atena. People are listening and they're like, okay, do I need to be focused on what I'm wearing at all times? Like, when can I be relaxed? When should I really go all out? Like, what do you say to people? Because I'm sure you get this a lot. Like, especially you must go out to parties and people know that you are the stylist. People know that this is what you do. So they're probably like super self-conscious around you maybe at times. Like, when should people focus on their style?
So I always say it's also a balancing act. You want to be aware of the fact that people see you, people judge you, and your style matters about where you're going. And it should align with your goals. Like if depending, like you should present yourself in a way that is going to help take you where you want to go. But it's also a balancing act because it is also your style, your life. The way that you dress is an expression of who you are. So it's not that you should always be like super worried about people looking at you, judging you, always just like be on 100, making sure you're perfect. Like perfectionism is just not a thing like that you should be aspiring to. But finding a balance between showing who you are, really like loving and expressing yourself, and then also aligning that with your goals, where you're going, like career wise in your life. Like if you're going on a date, you're going to get dressed up, look nice because you want to present yourself in a certain way. If you're going on a job interview, you're going to dress up in a like a suit or something maybe. And that's because you're aligning that with your goals, but you always want to have a piece of yourself in that. Like if you're going to a job interview, like your only option should not be black and white, right? If you love pink, wear pink, right? It's like you want to add a little bit of piece of who you are, and feel good in what you wear and be comfortable in what you wear. And so that's important to always find a balance.
Yeah, you want to feel good. You want to feel comfortable. You want your clothing and your style to represent who you are. So that's a big statement because someone might hear that and then think, well, who am I? So you've opened up an entirely new can of worms with that question. Is that where you generally start with someone when you're helping them to determine what their style is? Or maybe you can walk me through the process of, maybe I'm working with you now. Okay. Where would we begin in really finding what style matches me the best?
Yeah, it's a very, very important part of finding your style. It's figuring out who you are. I really want to spend one-on-one time with people and get to know them, get to know who they are. And we start right in their closet where everything is, all the skeletons are hidden. so I always say like no fabric is left unturned. Like we're going to go through everything because then I want to get a sense of like where you are with your style, who you are, what are the pieces that you're choosing and why. So that is a big part of it. And then through that, there's oftentimes like things like we find out, okay, like you need your outfits to be practical because you're a mom, so you need like good sneakers, right? And then there's also personal stories that come out, things that are sentimental, things that they have kept for personal reasons. So that really helps me like get deep in there. It's not a like if when I work with someone, it's not just like, oh, well, these are the best colors, these are the best shapes for you, and now let's call it like this is what you should wear. Let's call it a day. It's like that's not what it is. Like one outfit is not going to change your life.
Mhm.
It's about like really figuring out who you are and helping you um really fearlessly express who you are, because like again, like yes, we're aware of the fact that people judge us and everything, but I actually want people to be fearless with the way that they dress. I don't want you to fear that, but I want you to understand it and use that to your advantage.
Is there a certain number of outfits or combinations that you recommend to people? So now I know we're kind of getting into the nitty gritty here, but some people, like I think about myself at times, like we have a closet that is just full where maybe we don't even wear like 40% of the things that are in that closet. Like, have you found that simplicity is better when keeping a closet together? Like, what have you found is like the best balance with how many outfits and combinations you really should have?
Personally, I believe that simplicity is best. Now, I don't try to push everybody to just have like a small number of pieces or a staple wardrobe, but I do think it's best. It's also the most sustainable. So in my opinion, it is the best way to go, because you don't also want to spend too much time thinking about what you're wearing. If you have those key pieces, the things that are versatile, staple pieces that you can easily mix and match, and then you have your fun pieces that you kind of throw in here and there, then it's a lot easier to get dressed up and to get dressed each day. You don't have to like if you have a bunch of just statement pieces, then it's hard to like pair things up. Like if you have like, pink glitter, I don't know, like and then like green pants. I mean, sometimes it can be really fun, but it becomes harder. It's a lot more work that you have to do in the morning in your brain to get dressed. And that can make you not even want to do it. That oftentimes even leaves you reaching for the same things over and over again because those other pieces you don't really want to think about. So I do think again, simplicity is better, but some people, like it just depends on where you are also, like, because if you are good at putting things together, a lot of times maybe you do want to go for a larger closet. But I think it's important to know what's in your closet as well, because a lot of times when we have a big wardrobe, things get lost. We don't know where anything is. Some things we don't look at for years and then find out 3 years later when doing a closet cleanse, oh, those pants. Oh. So I think to avoid that, you got to make sure that your closet at least shows everything that you have,
Mm.
and you regularly look at it. So as long as it's manageable to you, I think there is no limit to how much clothes you can have. But I do think that less is more, in my opinion, for my life, especially.
When it comes to that, so from what you just said there, what I heard you say was have a good amount of options, but not so many that you aren't able to take a glance and really see what you have there. And at the same time, not just to have, one, two, three, four different things, but have enough options based on what you're going to go out there to do. Like when you're getting ready for the day, what are the things that you ask yourself in order to best dress yourself for that day? Like, how do you go about choosing what you're going to be wearing on any particular day? And how much time do you realistically spend picking out that outfit for that day?
So some days I will pick the outfit that day, and then sometimes I will actually plan my outfits ahead of time. So either the night before,
Mm.
or I will spend like half an hour to an hour on the weekend planning my outfits for the week, especially if I'm having a really busy week. Because in the morning, again, you have 1,000 things going through your head. that is not the best time to like try to create an outfit and try to be creative, because you have all these things like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta run to work, I gotta, I don't know, feed the kids, like there's so many things going on. So it's a little bit harder to be creative, and oftentimes you end up feeling overwhelmed. So you reach for, again, that same pants and shirt that is safe again. But in I mean, for me, the things that when I do plan the outfit, the things that I ask myself is first, what are my goals today? What am I trying to accomplish today? What am I, how do I want to present myself? Like, am I having a meeting? Am I just, working by myself? Like, what am I doing today? And how do I want to present myself through that? And how do I want to feel? Then it's the practical questions of like, am I walking a lot? What shoes am I gonna wear? And then what's the weather like? So because those are also important, making sure that you are comfortable, like physically comfortable in your clothes. So those are the things that I would consider. Um, the way that you want to feel that day is really, really important. Like for getting dressed today, I was like, I want to feel confident as I speak about style, right? I don't want to feel like I am not presenting myself well. And so I
Sure.
was thinking about, and then I also thought about like, okay, so I know I'm going to be on video, so I'm going to wear something that has a little bit of detail up top instead of like wearing maybe a simple t-shirt and then like a cool skirt, because nobody's gonna see the skirt because I'm on
Yeah.
video. So no one really cares, right? I mean, I feel like I'm still wearing a nice skirt, but that's more for me to feel good. But I also chose a top that has a little bit of detail because I wanted to have a little bit of something going on. So those are like the things that you want to ask yourself, and especially today in the world where we're doing a lot of things online and through video, considering that is important.
Yeah, that virtual setting isn't going anywhere. That virtual setting is here to stay. And that consciousness and awareness of what you're wearing, even when you're on video, they can't see your lower half, right? But you thought about, what am I going to wear that's really going to show who I am and really help me feel the way that I want to feel. I think that emotional piece is so important, because if you go out into the world and you feel great, right? You never know who you're going to meet. You never know what opportunity may present itself to you. And if you feel great, I mean, what is life? Life is an emotional experience. And if what we wear can help to curate a better and stronger emotional experience, then why would we not place more focus and emphasis on what we are putting on our body? Now, you have a lot of great content on your LinkedIn page, and I want to showcase just one of the pieces that I saw recently that I really liked. And you said being confident in your style doesn't come with wearing the most expensive pieces. We're not talking about spending the most amount of money here. It's not about buying what's hot right now. It's not about wearing the exact shade of red that's perfect for your skin tone. It comes from knowing yourself, believing that you are worthy of looking and feeling amazing, and practicing being stylish daily. So guys, you got to go follow Atena on LinkedIn, and I'll ask you if you're on any other platforms afterwards as well, Atena. We'll put those links in the description for people listening. But that second line here, believing that you are worthy of looking and feeling amazing. Is this a common challenge that you face when working with new clients? And it seems like a big challenge. So how do you help people to actually feel like they are worthy of looking and feeling amazing?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big challenge. It's even a challenge for myself sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, because especially when everybody started working from home, right? A lot of people were like, well, I'm just gonna wear sweatpants because nobody sees me, right? And then that's fine to a certain extent, because um then you're saying that when you dress up, when you don't wear sweatpants, it's only for other people. Then
Mm,
And I've done that too. I've been guilty of that too, and I had to change my mindset on that. A lot of times when I am working from home, I find myself being like, well, I don't have to wear my best clothes because nobody's going to see me today anyway. But then how is that making me feel? Right? Why is it that when I dress up, it's only for other people? Why is it not for me to look in the mirror and be like, hey, girl, you look good today? Like that is really important because you do see yourself in the mirror. You're very aware of what you are wearing. And those are messages that your brain is taking in, whether you're conscious of it or not. Then you're telling yourself, my best clothes are for other people, not for me. So that's important to be aware of. Even if you feel like, okay, maybe at some point it will get dirty because of pets, kids, and stuff like that. Well, at least wear it while you're at the desk and then you can change. So like I understand that too, because like I can, like I might walk my dogs and then they have muddy paws and they might jump on me. Of course I don't want that on my best clothes, right? But at least I can think about how I can prevent that, but it shouldn't just be for other people.
I think that's so important what you just said. Dress not for other people, but dress for the way that you want to feel. And even if someone's not going to see you that day, dress as if someone is going to see you, right? Because if you begin making it a habit to dress well, not just for other people, but for yourself, that's really where the transformation begins to happen. I'm a big fan of Ton France from Queer Eye. Are you familiar with stylist Ton France?
I don't think so. I can't think of
He's
that name.
huge. He's huge. He's
Okay.
You'll have to look him up. He's one of the influencers out there for style. And I really like this guy. My wife used to watch, well, not used to, we still do. We watch Queer Eye and I got into it as well. And he's a stylist. And he mentioned exactly what you just mentioned. He said that even if he's not going to see other people, he still likes to get his hair done that day. He still likes to make sure he smells nice. He still likes to make sure that he's manicured well. He still likes to make sure that he's dressed well, not just for himself, but for also his husband, right? Mm-hmm. Like for the people that are closest to us, not just dressing a certain way for others, but dressing a certain way for ourselves and for the ones we love that we come into contact with each day. Is it an immediate thing where we dress better or we dress in a way that better accentuates who we are and we feel better? Or does it take time for that transformation to happen?
First, I think that's the guy with the white hair, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I do know him. I'm so terrible with names.
You probably know what he looks like, right?
Yeah. Yes, I do. He's on Project Runway.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I do know him. All right. Yeah, I'm a visual person. Names are like
I hear you.
It's hard. But so is it an immediate thing? So a part of it is immediate. A part of it is when you look good, you look in the mirror, it can be that, like when you love the way that you look, that can be an immediate thing that makes you just kind of like get a little bit of butterflies, a little bit of like feeling good about yourself. Is it easy to do that every day? No, because again, people don't feel worthy of doing that every day. So that's something that you have to practice, that you have to do over and over again. And then it becomes easier. Then you're like, okay, I can reach for the best thing in my closet, even if nobody will see me. And you will notice a difference over time as well. Like even with myself, sometimes like if I only have phone calls to do with people, I've noticed how my voice changes, how I'm more confident in those conversations, even if it is just a phone call and they don't see what I'm wearing, just because I feel confident in myself. I'm like, I know I look amazing. I know that today I let myself show up as my best self. Then in that moment, I noticed that like, oh wow, I'm actually talking differently to people. And then also like for your dressing up for your family, for your spouse, a lot of times it's like you think you don't have to because it becomes comfortable, right? It's like they should accept me as I am, right? Like they should love me the way that I am. They shouldn't expect me to like put on a facade, but it's not a facade. It's like it's again showing up as your best self for them as well, because when you feel good, when you love yourself, you can give so much more love to those around you.
Wow. When you love yourself, you can give so much more love to the people around you. Love that. That's a great quote. It's so true, though. It's very true. Even though your family might accept you if you wear the really large, oversized sweatpants, like what would happen and how would you feel if you decided to maybe not put on your best outfit, but an outfit that still makes you feel really good. I have so many things I want to ask you, so let's just jump right to the next thing. And this was a personal question that someone in my life wanted me to ask, because I mentioned I was speaking with you, and they're like, "Oh, I got a great question." So let's talk to the person out there, because I'm sure you run into this all the time, where maybe you're working with someone who just lost a ton of weight, and now they have to really decide and figure out, I'm a different person now that I lost all this weight. And I have to really define what my style is now as this new version of myself. Or even maybe we're speaking to a woman who just had a baby. They were pregnant, now they're not. And maybe their body has changed now that they're postpartum of the baby. Like, how do they create and find their style after having their baby, or after losing weight, or maybe they gained weight, maybe they gained muscle? Like, when our body changes, how do we rediscover our style?
Yeah, I'm actually going through that right now too because I'm pregnant.
Oh,
So
that's amazing.
yeah, so
Congratulations.
thank you. But yeah, no, I mean, it is a very very common theme. Like, and I always remind people that your body is meant to go through changes. You're not meant to like just be stick figure skinny your whole life. I mean, like, if that is a thought, or look the same way your whole life, right? Your body changes as your life changes. You are always going through changes. You're not the same person that you were a year ago. And so your body cannot always stay the same either. And so part of it is accepting change. Part of it is accepting growth, you know, and like growing with your changes. And so when like, I do see it, like, it's whether people gain a lot of weight or lose a lot of weight, it's like they still see themselves as that old self.
Mm.
A lot of people that lose a lot of weight still wear baggy clothes because they think they look heavier than they actually do. And then a lot of people that are gaining a lot of weight, they're just like, oh my God, like I can't let go of my old clothes because I want to lose weight. And but then they're panicking about it, you know? And I always like remind people that first of all, you're going through changes. It's okay. We all go through changes, right? And especially having a baby, like you're bringing life into this world, like that. I have to remind myself that too. Like, I mean, I'm creating a whole human. I can have a break, you know. But and loving yourself where you are, the way that you look at that moment is only going to empower you to do the things that you want to do, whether it is to lose weight, whether you have lost weight and you want to maintain that. Um, Giving yourself those negative thoughts, like having the smaller clothes constantly in your closet as a reminder
Mm.
of like, oh, you're not this size anymore. Like every day you're getting that message telling yourself, oh, like you can't fit into this. You love this piece, like you loved it at one point in your life, but you can't wear it today. How is that affecting your mood that day, right? How are
Yeah.
you expected to go work out if you just feel down, you know? So like you don't want those messages in there. You want to, like, you can look good at any weight, and
Yes.
you should love yourself at any weight, no matter what changes your body is going through, and accept the fact that this is life.
Yeah. Beautifully said. I love that. I want to rewind that last 2 minutes and listen to it over and over, because you had a lot of really great nuggets there. Loving yourself where you are. We all go through changes. Accept yourself where you are, because if you accept yourself, it makes it that much easier to make those changes that you want to make. So you just mentioned, like, you go into your closet and you see all these clothes, maybe 70% of your wardrobe or more, that are from when you were smaller, whether it was before you were pregnant or before you lost the weight or gained the weight or whatever. Like, do you recommend that someone take all those clothes and hide them, put them away somewhere, donate them, and just re-wardrobe entirely? Like, is that too drastic of a change? Like, what do you think? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, for like when you change a lot of sizes, I definitely think at least, you know, if you're not ready to part with them, at least put them in a box and then put the box away so you don't have to see them every day. And then you can revisit the box in the future. But Yeah, I think you should definitely put them away because you don't want to see them every day. And especially, and they're taking up room in your closet where you could have a bunch of new fabulous pieces. Like, like we don't need the clutter, you know. So
Yeah.
the first step is at least put it in a box. Now if you can't go back to the box after a few years, you know, and it's just like your body is just in a new place, because like sometimes like as we grow older, like we are going to get a little bit thicker. Like it's just what it is, you know. You would have to take really drastic measures to be your weight at 18, you know.
Yeah.
So and that's actually good. That's healthy. Like just like
Yes.
going up a couple sizes as you get older, you know. So sometimes it might just be time to part with those pieces, you know. But if you're not ready, at least put them in a box, put them away, and then revisit the box in a year or 2 years with a new mindset and look at it and be like, okay, do I need to keep this or can this serve someone else better?
Great question. Yeah, so is someone else out there who could better use this? Because you're just going to be walking into your closet every single day or opening your closet and seeing a reminder of who you used to be, right? Which isn't a bad thing. Like you said, our bodies are designed to change. I think they say every 7 years, every cell in your body is different at that point, and your body is completely reinvented, which is true because I'm 29. When I was 22, my body was completely different. When I was 18, my body was completely different. The number changes. And I'm like 30 pounds heavier than I am now than when I was in high school, but I don't look physically bigger than that. It's just I've gained more muscle mass and I've gotten taller and all these different things. So it's not just a matter of getting fatter. It's a matter of your body is changing. And I think the overall theme here that you're laying out for us, which I love, is the idea of giving yourself grace. Because if you can give yourself grace and love yourself where you are, then, like you mentioned, it puts you in a better position to make any changes that you might want to make in your life.
Yes,
Love
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's just not enough education about how much our bodies are actually going to change throughout life. There's so much emphasis on being youthful, like women need to look like they're 20 for the rest of their life, and like same for men. It's like, oh, you have to look young, you look young. But no, there's actually beauty and power in growing older.
True. Absolutely. Definitely. So cool. Before we get to a couple rapid fire questions, are there any key principles that you think are important that you would like to share when creating a wardrobe that reflects our personal style? Like, what are the key principles or things that we should look at, the overall buckets that we should look at, if you had to describe them quickly?
Um Key principles. Your goals, where you want to go in life, like who are the is the woman that you are today or the man that you are today and who you want to become. That is one of the most important questions, I think. um
Should you dress like who you want to become?
I mean, I think it should be a combination of who you are today and who you want to become. So, you know, like when they say like dress for the job you want, I saw this meme online. It was really funny. And somebody like was like dressed in a princess like outfit. Like, yeah, that is a job we all want, you know? But also like who you are today, but where you want to go, right? Um, so I think that um like again, like not being stuck in the past, right? And just really changing with where you are in life and growing, allowing your style to grow with you and also help you take you to places that you want to go. Like for example, if you're showing up to a networking event, you might want to wear something that is going to help you spark up a conversation, right? So that's like a part of it helping you take you where you want to go. Um, and then I think that is like literally the biggest question. Like when you imagine your perfect life, right? Your perfect life, like in let's say 5 years, right? What does your house look like, right? What does your perfect job look like? What does your family look like? And what are you wearing in that moment? Your perfect life. And you actually have the power to start dressing like that today.
Wow.
You know, like I listen to a lot of stuff about manifestation, and I think like if you do, like a lot of people do,
Yeah.
it's believing the fact that the life that you want is already being manifested. And so your style can be a part of acting that way practically now. It's a tangible way of doing that. Like if you're just waiting for things to come to you, then you're not appreciating this moment. You're not being grateful for this moment. And so you're always going to keep waiting. Like, oh, when I lose my weight, when I have money, when I have, I don't know, when my kids grow up, like, all these excuses. Like, no, like you are that person today, and you can start dressing in a way that you want today, and
Yeah.
like have that help you take you where you want to go rather than sitting here and waiting around.
Wow. Powerful. I think that was one of the most powerful things. That there's been a lot of powerful nuggets already, but I think that's one of the most important things. Look at who you want to be, look at the life that you're living, and then that question you asked, what are you wearing in that vision of your ideal life? I just did that exercise with you, and I have some outfits that represent the way that I want to look, but I'm going to rehaul the rest of them because I had an exact image of what I was wearing in that moment. And I freaking love it. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So before I ask you where people can find you if they want to continue following you, and how you can help people further who say, I want to implement these tips, but I want someone's help in doing so, I have a couple rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
So the first one is, if you could go back in time, which fashion era would you choose to live in and why?
Back in time. Honestly, I love where we are today.
Really?
Yes, I do, because I feel like today it's acceptable to wear almost anything in any era.
Wow.
So it's
Great
like
answer.
you have so much freedom. You can do so many different things, and like we just have so many options today, and everything is accessible.
It's so true. A great answer. I love that. Next question. If you could give a makeover to any historical figure, who would it be and why?
A makeover to a historical figure. I think part of the reason that I'm having a hard time with this is because if I say I want to give this person a makeover, it's almost considered shade. So,
Maybe they'll hear it and agree. Maybe they've been looking for one.
I mean, like it's like I feel like that's just how people perceive it,
That's fair.
And so like because I feel like a makeover is only for people that want a makeover,
Okay.
I don't like to sit there and judge people on the way that they dress.
Yeah.
Um and it's like it's only when you want it, when you're ready for it.
Uh-huh.
So I don't like to think about it that way. Maybe that's why I'm having this block to it, because
Yeah,
it's like
and
it's a fun question, but
I guess if that historical figure did have a makeover, maybe they wouldn't have been a historical figure at all. Maybe what they were wearing was who they were, and that was
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Great. I like that. That's an answer in itself. Okay, great. And the final one is, if you could add any accessory to your outfit, and maybe we'll do one for a man, one for a woman, unless it's the same for both. What accessory have you found adds just a bunch of oomph to any outfit that someone can wear, and it's a small accessory that anyone can add? What would you say?
A watch.
A watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
A watch really elevates any outfit. You can wear a t-shirt and jeans outfit and put on a watch, and then now it's like, oh, it's intentional.
Yes.
So, and you can wear a suit and wear a watch, and it just elevates it so much. So I think a watch, yeah. And in my opinion, a digital watch. I mean, not a digital, an analog watch.
So
Like,
not a smartwatch, not like an Apple Watch or
no,
something like that.
no, that's different. A analog watch, like the classic look of an analog watch, I think is beautiful and adds so much intention. And also, it just like helps. Like, I love wearing a watch because then I'm more aware of time as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think a watch for both men and women is a great piece to add.
So do you think the people who, and I speak for myself now because I do this, I have like 8 really nice watches, like some that are thousands of dollars, but I always wear my Samsung smartwatch because it tracks my steps and it does all those things. Am I leaving a lot on the table by always wearing that smartwatch? And if so, then when is the appropriate time to wear the smartwatch versus the analog watch?
Yes, like especially if you're like meeting with a client or just going to an event that is important, going on a date, things like that, like you want to wear your analog watch. The um digital, I feel like, if you're on your day-to-day running to the store, doing things, then that's fine. But if you are thinking like, because it's more practical for you, right? So in that case, it's fine. But if we're talking about the way that you present yourself, a way to elevate your look, then the analog watch I would wear out.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. I'm going to start doing that. So that's one of my biggest takeaways personally. That's great. Cool. That was fun. I like the rapid fire. Okay, great. So you help people to take these principles to the next level. And specifically, you help women who want to take these fashion and style principles to the next level. So how do you help women? And you mentioned that as a gift for listening to this podcast and watching this podcast, you're offering women a 30-minute discovery call to really figure out how all this fits into their life. So what does that look like, and how do you work with people?
Yeah, so I work with people one-on-one, and it's if they're ready for a transformation, if they're ready to like change their wardrobe, then I get in there, start with their closet, then we come up with a new vision based on their goals, based on what their vision is for their style, and then we start making those changes in the wardrobe. And sometimes just having a conversation about it can help them at least take a few steps. And so I think that is a good place to start, at least taking those steps and maybe seeing the changes. Sometimes people need a little bit more support. And so that's what I'm here for. And yeah, and so I'm sorry, did I answer your question? Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds like even if people decide like maybe now is not the time to work with someone full-time one-on-one, that 30-minute call can help them discover whether that's true, but it'll also leave them with still one or two things that they can do, like just like you did for me in the last 45 minutes, that I can start doing in order to elevate my personal style. So that's really cool. So if that sounds like it makes sense for you guys, there's a link in the description to get some time on Atena's calendar to have that conversation with her. But if you're saying that this was all really helpful and I really want to continue following Atena on social media, I'd say go follow her on LinkedIn because your presence on LinkedIn is fantastic. Are you present anywhere else that you'd want to share with people, or is LinkedIn the main place that you'd send people to?
LinkedIn and Instagram are the main places.
Okay.
And then things make their way to Facebook too, but I'm not really super active there, honestly. It's
Okay.
just a repost. But yeah, Instagram, I'm very active on, and LinkedIn as well. And both of them are just my name, Atena Crain.
Okay, great. And there's links in the description to go follow Atena on LinkedIn, Instagram, and as well as get some time on Atena's calendar for that 30-minute discovery call. Atena, this has been an awesome conversation. I took a lot away personally, and I'm a man, which is super cool. So thank you for sharing these tips and sharing a bit about your story to help us become more fashionable and really show up to the world in a more powerful and better way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was awesome talking to you. And again, thank you just for having me.
Absolutely. I hope that this conversation with Atena gives you even just one thing that you can walk away with that helps you to show up to the world in a better and more powerful way, in a way that makes you feel more confident, in a way that allows you to express yourself. Because remember that stat that Atena shared with us, that first impression that you're making to the world is so important. If you're a business person, and even if you're on vacation, you might meet your next business contact on the beach. You might meet them at the market. You might meet them at the grocery store, whatever it might be. You never know what opportunity will present yourself, and your own personal style and your fashion and how you show up will determine what people think of you in the first quarter second that they see you. So I hope that you took away even just one thing. If you did, then please share this show with just one other person who could use it as well. Be sure to go follow Atena on LinkedIn and Instagram. They're both her name, which is Atena Crain, but the links are in the description as well. And if it makes sense for you, schedule some time on Atena's calendar to really dive into a discovery call to see where you can be doing your fashion or style differently so that you can ask Atena your questions. And if it makes sense to work with her further, then that is your opportunity to do so. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And until we talk again, continue to be better.